what are your top 3 books in the self-development field, or I would say in entrepreneurship or self-development field?
Okay, so I actually knew this was part of the question. I was trying to think of it, and I couldn't do it. So I've read, like you mentioned, I've read over 350
I'll make it
books.
easy. We need 5.
5.
Top 5.
I could do 50 if you want. But what I did think is, there's certain books that have, when I've read them, they've changed the trajectory of my life in terms of I've made a decision there and then that has impacted the rest of my life. So I think a lot of the books, like The One Thing, for example, Atomic Habits, they're all great books. The 4-Hour Work Week, you can take certain aspects from them. But I'd say 3 books that really changed my life is Mindset by Carol Dweck. I think just learning about the growth mindset was really important. That's quite a popular book. The Power of Purpose by Les Brown was an interesting book, because when I read that, I was probably 150 books in or something. I gave up my job on that Monday.
Oh, wow.
I listened to it on Audible on Friday, Saturday. I gave up my job. I was like, there was something in that book about taking control of your life that just resonated with me. I just handed my notice in, and that was it. And then that's when I went full time into property. So thankfully that was a good choice. So I used those 2 as 2 pivot points in my life. And then another one that I thought was really important was The Values Factor by Dr. John DeMartini. A great book. And I think if you read that and really sit down with yourself and understand what your values are, because sometimes if you ask someone, what's your values? A lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
Like nobody's really had that question.
I've sat down to kind of figure out my values, and I've now made a list of it. Good. Before I had no values.
See, you're ahead of the curve. You're doing amazing things at like such a young age. So you're doing well. But then what you need to do is really, if there are your values, you believe in them, obviously, every decision you then make,
it depends on the values.
Absolutely. So when it comes to a new sponsorship, when it comes to a prospective deal, for example, is this in line with my values? And then that really helped me figure out myself and understand myself. So those are probably 3 books. But yeah, there's so many great books. The Chimp Paradox was a great one. Just understanding psychology in terms of like the chimp in your brain, where we're on emotion, we want something now, as opposed to the computer side, the logical side. So as an investor, I'm more of I try and use the computer side of my brain, delayed gratification in everything I do. I invest now. I don't make a lot of money now, but in the future, it'll pay me, rather than getting that Gucci belt or Louis Vuitton bag or whatever people are spending crazy amounts of money on. I'm like, why are you doing that? Just go buy a house and then thank me in 20 years time.
And I think these books, which you just mentioned, are definitely going to become part of. There should be 2 more books, which I've currently been reading. I don't know if you read the book called Make Time.
I haven't, no.
It's a book I was scrolling on Amazon and suddenly I saw a book with good reviews. I'm like, I haven't been reading for a while.
Yeah.
Let me buy this book. Yeah. While I was buying that book, another book popped up. So I'm like, this looks interesting. Let me buy this as well. So I bought 3 books like that, and I'm currently now getting back into the habit of reading, because I realized there's so much more to learn. And books can help you so much in terms of like, when you get to this question of what is my life? What do I want with my life? My value. That book of values, I would definitely have to read, because as you move towards your 30s, I would say, which I'm still nowhere near, you kind of start thinking like, what do I really want from life? Yeah. And you start asking those deeper questions, and that's where books will definitely help. So I'm
going to cheat as well, Jats, if you don't mind.
Go on.
You can take this out, but just 2 more books I think that would help you as well is Principles by Ray Dalio.
Okay.
It's like it's a Bible though. Like it's so long, like even on Audible. Such a great book. Again, similar to like Values Factor, but Ray Dalio, unbelievable investor. But he talks about just principles of life. It's called Principles of Life and Business, I think it is. And then I know we spoke a little bit about mental health previously. One thing I always say is when somebody says, what's the best personal development book to read? What's personal to you? What do you need to improve on? So if it's sales, you got Brian Tracy, for example, who might really help you. If it's communication, you got How to Win Friends. Yeah, those kind of books. Yeah. But there was a great book, I think it's by Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. That book massively changed my life, because all it does is it breaks down scenarios when we overthink stuff in the world. And there's a great exercise in there. So if anyone's anxious, for example, I use this one. It's a bit like the Dr. Pepper advert. What's the worst that could happen? Kind of thing. It just reminds me of the Dr. Pepper ad. So when I'm in a situation and I'm overwhelmed or things are going bad in a property, I write down what's the worst that could happen. So piece of paper, the worst thing that could happen is, even though it's not directly related, my parents could die, for example. Morbid. I know that sounds crazy. Yeah. Then it's like something happens. Yeah, extreme. But then once you start writing all this stuff and then you get to like, okay, I might lose £2,000, for example, or the project might be 6 months late, whatever. That becomes so insignificant because you've started at such an extreme. So what that book does, it breaks down loads of different stories into examples. So if anyone suffers with anxiety or worry, great book as well. So yeah, I'm cheating. I told you I could literally list all 350.
I mean, I think I will definitely need a list of good books to read. So this is even better for me as well. And I think one lesson, if anyone can take from this entire podcast, is to read books. I kid you not, it is the most amazing thing I'm doing at the moment in my life. I take my first hour of the morning and I just read.
Yeah.
And it helps me so much throughout the day as well. Allows me to feel a bit smarter compared to these guys as well.